So God says, go to the widow, and she's going to provide for you. And so the story progresses where Elijah then travels from the brook of Kerith, and he goes to, I think it's Sidon, and he goes to this new region, and as he comes to the region, there's a widow there. And the widow is out collecting sticks for a fire, okay? She's going to collect sticks, make a fire, and I think she had some water with her as well, and so he sees the widow, and he tells the widow, he says, ma'am, I don't know if he said ma'am or not, I mean, I've been customary back then, whatever he said, but he gets her attention, right? And he says, would you provide me a drink of water, and would you also give me a little bit of cake, a little bit of bread as well, to feed me? Remember, it's not been raining. There's a drought. The economy's probably not that great agriculturally right now. And we're going to see in her response, she has really nothing to give. That's what she says. She says, Elijah, man of God. She didn't know his name at the time, but man of God, I'm out here gathering sticks to gather these sticks up, to go back to my house, and I'm going to start a fire, and I'm going to prepare a meal, and then me and my son, we're going to eat that meal, and then we are going to do what? Die. Sounds kind of hopeless, doesn't it? This is all we got. In other words, we have nothing to give you, Elijah. If I give to you, then we die. This is it. You know, the barrel's empty. So it's amazing what then Elijah asked her. And I guess if you're going to ask certain things like this, prayerfully it's a clear direction from the Lord. You should be asking this, because he says, here's what you need to do. I'd like for you to go home and make that bread, make that meal. But what I want you to do then, I want you to feed me first, and then feed your family. Like, whoa. She just said I had nothing to give, and I'm going to die after we eat this. We're emptied. And he says, go back and make the bread, but then feed me first, and then you can feed your family. Then you can feed your son. Now, I don't know about you, but that in that moment there, it would take quite a step of faith to feed that person. I don't know, but I believe God's here drawing her to himself as well. She's not from the nation of Israel, and so I believe God's at work drawing her to trust and see this as a man of God and to step out in faith. And so it takes faith for her to come and to do what she's going to do. It takes faith for Elijah to be there, to do what he's going to do, even traveling back down and engaging with the widow. And so it's going to be a faith thing that's going to unfold here, but she has nothing. But then when Elijah tells her to make me the cake first, he says, about the provisions that you do have, because she mentions it in the story. She says, I have a jar of flour and I have a jug of oil. And once we make the meal, it's going to be emptied. It's going to be over, and we die. And so she has a little bit of flour in a jar and a little bit of oil in a jug, and Elijah says, make that for me. And then he says this, and then watch and see what God will do. Your jar of flour will not be emptied, and your jug of oil also will not be emptied. But watch and see what God will do to provide for you as you step out in faith and provide the meal first for me. So it's an incredible request. But Elijah's basing the request on how he knows God is faithful to do something miraculous. And then the story winds its way out with an incredible thing of how it ends. It says, and in verse 15. So here's the continuation of the story. And she went and did. You've got to love that part of the story, right? And so she was faithful to go and do as Elijah had said to her. And catch this. And she and he and her household ate. Okay, God provided in the moment, right? But was that the last meal? He and she and her household ate for many days. Wait a minute. She'd already said last meal, right? They ate for many days. And then listen to what God's word says. Listen to what it says here, how it closes out. The jar of flour was not spent, neither did the jug of oil become empty, according to the word of the Lord that he had spoken to Elijah. The jar of flour was not spent. The jug of oil was not empty. God showed himself faithful, did he not? That's just who he is. That's why we can put something like, God is faithful. Faith 2018, we can believe it because of what God's revealed about himself. He's a good God. That's how he works. That's how he acts. He was faithful.